Hey, how you going? So today I'm gonna show you how I edited this photo to turn it into this day-night photo. So my process is pretty simple. I just sort of make it up as I go along. So in that respect, very simple. Basically my approach to editing photos is to just start with the thing that is annoying me the most and go from there. Straight away, the thing that's annoying me the most is this crooked horizon. So it's just off by a little bit, but it's enough to annoy me. So I'll fix that, straighten that up, and that improves things just a little bit there. Next step, I'm going to add a bit of contrast and up the exposure just a little bit, just to sort of center that histogram out a bit. I just think it needed to be a little bit brighter. Oops. In doing that though, I think the stars in the sky up above the ground there, it's a little too bright. So I'm going to add a grad filter over the stars and just darken that a little bit. Bring the blacks down, take the whites up, highlights down, and that just really just doing that to bring out those stars there. Whoops, don't want another one. Yep, so something like that looks pretty good. Good place to start. Next thing that's sort of bugging me a little bit, it's a little yellow, or it's very yellow really. So I'm just gonna take this white balance slider and move it to the left. You can see there, it's really just neutralizing that yellow, which is just overpowering this image so much. I could go crazy far and take it there, but that looks ridiculous, so I won't be doing that. And when I'm trying to pick a white balance, I try and choose something that doesn't look yellow, it doesn't look blue, but somewhere in the middle, which is just right. And usually that means there is a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue in a photo. Generally, not always. For this particular photo, I want it to lean a little bit towards the blue end of it because I think the stars should be blue up there. I think the night sky, something to do with space, just feels like blue is the right color. So I'll do that, and I think that's really neutralized the colors in this photo, which is a good starting point for where I want to go. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring the highlights down. Just to fix up the area around the sun, make that, well not the sun, but the moon rather, because I should probably say this photo was taken at night with the moon rising. So although it looks like a day-night photo, it is actually just taken at night, and that is the moon rising. The reason it looks like the sun is because it's overexposed, it's being blown out, and it's actually reflecting the sun. So it really does look like the sun, and that's pretty cool, I reckon. So I'm just gonna bring those highlights down somewhere that is reasonable, just to reduce the size of that orb around the moon there. Sun, moon, whatever it is. The next thing I want to do is up the shadows a little bit, just because I think the area around the grass here really benefits from that extra bit of exposure there. And I think that looks really cool. I'll just leave the whites where they are at the moment. Might come back to that. Black's definitely going to bring down a little bit. That'll cause a couple of problems, but that's alright. Just in general sense, I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah. Saturation, I'm going to leave alone for the minute, and I'll show you why in a little while. There's a really cool trick that I'm going to show you. Sharpening, just leave. I don't really need a lot of sharpening with this photo. It really doesn't need much at all. If you're unfamiliar with the masking tool, what it is it limits what parts of the photo are actually being sharpened. So if you hold down the Alt key and drag the masking slider, it'll show you what parts of the image are getting sharpened. And really, you only want the edges of objects to be sharpened. You don't need the space in between. Like, you don't need that. That's just, all it does is create noise in your image, and you don't need that. You don't want that. So you take your mask and you bring it to a point where really only the edges of your image are being sharpened. Noise reduction is something I don't really like to use a lot of, just because it kind of blurs the image a bit. You lose a lot of detail that might otherwise be there. And really the only people who care about noise in photos are other photographers. And I don't care if I piss a few of them off. No, not really. I don't need it. So, but I don't normally need it. For this photo, I will do a little bit of noise reduction. I just think it does benefit this image. There's not a lot of fine detail to lose anyway, so why not? Next thing I will do is definitely enable profile correction, so we'll brighten up those edges, get rid of that vignette that was going on there, and the distortion as well. That looks pretty good. And usually when I do that, it has brightened the image significantly, or appears to have brightened the image significantly. It feels a lot brighter than it was before. So the next step I will do is come back up the top here and bring those blacks back down a little bit. Now, I'm in a kind of a tricky spot because I want the sky to be darker. Up near the stars, I want that to be darker, but I don't want this grass area down here to be darker. Because I can bring this down further, but it makes the grass too dark. I don't really want that, so I'll take the blacks down to the point that suit the grass, I think. And then add another grad filter onto the stars. This one's going to be very graduated. It's going to be very nice, gentle curve rather than that sort of hard edge. It's going to be gentle gradient there. It's really what I want. And I'm just trying to gauge where the right spot is. I really want the stars to pop, and to do that I think the sky needs to be very dark. And I think I will also bump the whites there as well. No, I won't do that. Yeah, no, I think that looks pretty cool. So, from this point, the image looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the image. You've got that day-night feel going on to it. But there's this trick to do with the color, which I think really improves the overall image. And that is a little thing called split toning. What split toning does, it allows you to color different parts of your images based on whether they are highlights or shadows. So in this example, what I'll do is color the highlights yellow and color the shadows blue. So I'll just give that a quick whirl and show you what that looks like. So I just did a quick nasty thing then. It looks very, very crazy, which obviously this is not what I want, but it is getting closer to where I want. So if I drag the highlights hue here, you can see how it changes the color of the highlights in the image, which is just this section down the bottom here. And as I said before, I want them to be yellow, so I'm going to set that to be fairly yellow in color and not at all that saturated. So I'll bring it down somewhere a bit more reasonable. Set it there just for the moment and see how it goes. For the shadows, I want them to be blue. And the shadows in this image are gonna be up in the sky there, in space. So choose a blue that I like the look of, and then desaturate it so it doesn't look crazy. And somewhere like there, it looks pretty good. Now if I just turn this off and on again, you can see the effect it has. I've just colored the highlights a little bit yellow and colored the shadows a little bit blue. And yellow and blue are one of those complementary colors, so they work really well together in an image. But I think I can improve this image even more. So what I'll do, I'll grab this balance slider, and what that does, it changes where Lightroom decides highlights are and shadows are. So just for split toning, that is. So if I drag it to the left, you'll see shadows are increased and highlights are decreased. And if I take it to the right, it works the opposite way around. For this particular image, I want that to be more blue than yellow, so I'll move it a little bit to the left. And I'll just take it to the point where I'm reducing the effect of that yellow glow from the sun up in the sky area. So I'll do that now. I'll do another before and after, and you can see that's before the split toning, and that's after the split toning. There hasn't been a lot of difference there. The biggest difference though is the sky's definitely gone blue rather than that purpley colour. And that is absolutely what I want in this photo. It really gives it that feeling of day and night. And yeah, this is pretty close to where I want it. I might fill it around with the contrast a bit more, or not. But yeah. So yeah, that's basically how I edit my day-night photos. And I hope you found that useful, and if you're doing your own day-night photos, definitely send them in. I'm very keen to see what you can come up with. I think it's a really cool idea. You can do a lot of very cool things with day-night photos. Just the way the moon comes up, it looks like the sun, but it also then illuminates the ground around it. Or it's like in this photo, for instance, the beach is all lit up like it's daytime, and that can lead to some really interesting shots. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.